Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Contest of Speed AM2 round 16 as they take on the 7.004 kilometer circuit, 19 corners, and we will be racing around Spa in Belgium. Just waiting on a few more individuals to join up, and then we will get under green for qualifying. In the meantime, points after last week, you got Cars Ben, who secured the Drivers' Championship, Cheesehead in P2, J Supreme in P3, who can still have a chance to take P2 from Cheesehead in the Drivers' Championship. Harris Pletz, Big Mama Frank, Texas Tornado in 6th, Chewy in 7th, Potty in 8th, J Knowles in 9th, Deathstorm 10th, Tim Man 11th, Grim 12th, Fitz, Dickwell 13th, Orlando 14th, Captain Tito 15th, Raptors 16th, Obama Chicken 17th, No Name 18th, and Bichkowski is 19th. In regards to the constructors, Ferrari, I believe, has locked that up at 402 points. To Haas in second with 209. Mercedes in third with 196. Red Bull fourth, 170. McLaren fifth, 121. Alfa Romeo sixth at 114. AlphaTauri seventh at 109. Alpine eighth at 87. Aston Martin ninth at 63. And Williams in 10th at 51. There's only attendance rep penalties that were handed out. Other than that, there was no incidents reported for Qatar. Alright, so we have finally gotten into qualifying here. Pulling up some information. So it looks like it is going to be a dry qualifying for AM2. Still waiting to see if anything comes in regards to... And I'm hearing lots of rain. Actually, the rain is coming down here in Spa. So that's going to make things very interesting here in regards to setup. Do you go dry? Do you go wet? Based on what the race conditions are. So, we got some drivers coming out now as we will jump on board with Jay Knowles here. Getting ready to head up the hill towards Eau Rouge. Other than that, the only one on the circuit looks like the Red Bull maybe of that's going to be the Red Bull of Death Storm has come out, along with the McLaren of Chewy has also come out as well. It looks like Cars Bend is hitting the circuit. A lot of these guys have chosen to go on the soft tires. Is this going to affect them when it comes to their laps? Cars Bend is actually flying around the circuit trying to catch up here. Let's jump back on board with Jay Knowles. As he's coming for the very fast left-hand corner here. You can lose it anytime. You just want to make sure you let off the throttle, get into the corner real quick, and then you can get back to full throttle. And he's coming through the S's section right here, getting ready to finish off Sector 2. And he will start his way towards the line for his first qualifying lap of the evening. Death Storm just getting through Sector 2 as well. So follow along with Jay Knowles here as he's diving into turn 18 and 19, which is the final two corners of the circuit. Making his way down the main straight into turn 1. Opens up the DRS flap. He's going to get hard on the brakes all the way down to second gear. Now he's going to work his way towards turn 2, which is the start of Eau Rouge, and let's see how he looked coming through here. Nice and tight over the curbs. Great run up the hill. Coming through, opens up that DRS flap as he's making a run all the way down to turn 5. Hard on the brakes all the way down third gear. This is Schumacher's corner. And he gets a little wide, but managed to keep it within track limits as he's heading down the hill into turn 8. Very easy corner to get the rear locking and the rear to the back end of the car to kick out. Now he's making his way towards turn 10 and 11. This fast double apex left-hander. Let's see what he's going to put at the Sector 2 split time going into turn 12. And after turn 14, this is where the split is going to come into play. Let's see where he comes. Right around 14 at 1:17.230. So that's where he's sitting so far. Making a run up that back straight there. Let's see where Death Storm was sitting after Sector 2 at a 1:16.901. So he's not quite up to the pace yet. And Jay Knowles coming through the final corners of 18 and 19. Opens up that DRS flap and he's going to put down a 1:46.397 for his first lap of qualifying. All the way down to Death Storm as he will be across the line second. Let's see where this is going to put him. A 1:46.255. Death Storm has taken over the pole position. The McLaren has also gone into the pit. Following along with Cars Bend, 1:45.024. He now takes over the pole position. And it looks like he's going to have an Aston Martin, a Captain Tito coming right behind him off of turn 1. So he's going to want to get out of the way there. Following along with Fit Dickwell, he came through Sector 2 at a 117.4. Not extremely strong, but he's making his way down into turn 18 and 19. Stewart, his teammate, 117.291, so his teammate got a better run right now. Fitzy coming around turn 19 across the line with a 145.7. Here comes Great Ape off of turn 19. Opens up the DRS flap. He's going to get a 146.804. So a little bit slower than his teammate probably in Sector 3. Texas Tornado is making his way towards the line. Cheesehead's actually getting ready to start his lap. So here comes Tornado across the line, 146.7. So you're wondering if the track is starting to get a little too wet to the point where they don't have enough grip. Orlando comes across with a 147.032, so he dropped down to P7. J Supreme making his way down into turn 18, around 19, back on the throttle in second gear, upshift to third, opens up the DRS flap, he comes across the line with a 146.726, so not very good so far from, a good majority of the field, as they kind of really off the pace of Ben, as he's just on another level, 1.2 seconds ahead. Captain Tito making his way around turn 19. Gonna make a run down towards the line, and he's at a 147.6. Alright, let's follow along with Harris Pletz as he's starting his first lap of his qualifying session, making his way up Eau Rouge. It looks like it's a little slippery out there now as they've been having rain, a nice steady rain through the qualifying. Hasn't been too crazy, you still see everybody on soft tires, so the track is not wet enough. He comes through Sector 1 with a 30.8. Getting ready to work his way off of Schumacher's corner all the way down to turn 8. It's the only place really where you're going to get a lot of rear locking, especially since it's downhill around the corner. But now he's coming towards turn 10 and 11. Off of 11 into 12, the exit here, you don't want to get a little wide off of the exit of 13. Kind of a little loosey-goosey there, but he managed to keep it under control. Gets really loose off of the exit of 14. He's probably losing some time, a 118.8 through 2 sectors. He's definitely a 1.4 seconds off the pace at this moment. Through 2 sectors, he's gonna have to find some time making his way towards the line here. Down into turn 18, heavy on the brakes all the way through third gear, does not get any rear locking, coming around 19. Back on the throttle super early, opens up that DRS flap, and he's gonna come across with a 148.3. Track is definitely wet. This is unfortunate for Saad Niaz, as I do not think he's gonna put in a good lap. And you got a Ferrari trouble here. Is that Cheesehead? Yes, it is. Spins off of turn 15 in the wet conditions. But let's jump back on board with Chewy as he's coming around turn 14. Making his way into 15. Now he's running down this very long back straight here. No DRS in this area, just a very long back straight. Heading down into turn 18. He's going to get hard on the brakes. All the way down to third gear, maybe second. back on the throttle, upshifts to third, no wheel spin there. He's going to come across the line with a 150.7. So the track is definitely more wet than what it has been up to this point. You're going to not see any time improvements here. I think it's going to be pretty much the end of qualifying there. Luckily for Mr. Deathstorm, putting himself on the front row at this moment, pending Jay Knowles does not manage to find a temp in these very wet conditions. He's on soft tires, just off the exit of turn 1. He's actually not going to like this at all. So, the conditions are set for intermediates at this point. Harris Pletz making a rush back to pit lane, hoping to find some more improvement on that time, but don't think the track is going to allow it. Good stuff, Deathstorm. Welcome to the chat. I mean, nice lap there. You got 4P2. Puts you on the front row. Hopefully you can go get that win and take it away from Cars Bend for the final race of the season. But gonna have to find 1.2 seconds of time and pace to be able to contend with Cars Bend at this point. Now, I'm not exactly sure if Cars Bend was running a dry setup and just said, heck with it, I'm going to run this setup and hope for the best in the race, or if he ran maybe a wet setup, but the track was still dry enough and yeah, Deathstorm's got a wet setup, so that's very fortunate for him. And as we see, Chewy gets a little loose off of turn 13 there. He's going to drive straight through the braking boards, I think. No, he's not. Jumps back in behind the Haas here of, I'm assuming, Jay Knowles. But yeah, I mean, there's a big gap in time between Mr. Deathstorm and Cars Bend. We will find out when it comes to race condition how big of a gap that is. Jay Knowles coming down into turn 18. DRS has been disabled, so nobody is going to have DRS on their lap. They all might as well just box and retire, because this isn't going to be very doable for him. You're not going to find any time. You're just going to be out here cruising around. So yeah, you see Texas Tornado out here on the intermediate tires, hoping to find some time, but not exactly sure if that's going to happen. Then he's got Fitz Dickwell out here on the intermediates as well. Orlando's doing some ice skating without a front wing. And he leaves the session, so he is going to need an invite again. Boom, 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 boom. Got him. So we'll test it. What is Texas Tornado doing? He's going to give himself a big time penalty here for blocking. He might not want to do that during qualifying. And what is he trying to do here? He is playing some mind games with this Williams of Saad Nayaz. Don't think Saad is really appreciating any of Texas's antics going on in front, but he's just going to fall back in line and just get around and hopefully be able to put down a solid lap in the intermediate tires and see how they feel. I'm bored with Captain Tito. Everybody is retiring from session. They all know they're not going to get any improvements on the time. Yeah, Texas Tornado's 5 seconds off of his fastest lap. So it's pretty much the end of qualifying, folks. I mean, you got Cars Bend on pole. Deathstorm put himself on the front row for the first time all season, I believe, right next to Cars Bend. Then you got Jay Knowles starting row 2 with his Haas teammate of Jay Supreme. Texas Tornado in row 3, Fitz Dickwell alongside of him. Then you have Great Ape and Orlando making up row 4. The Aston Martin of Captain Tito and the Mercedes of Harris Pletz in row 5. Cheesehead in the Ferrari, the Constructors Champion, alongside MBD Chewy in the McLaren. in row 6. Row 7 is going to be made up of the Williams Assad Niaz as he's driving around with no front wing. Alongside him is going to be Tim Bin the Rowdy, who's yet to put down a lap. And it looks like he's getting ready to start an outlap here, coming through the final corner of turn 19. And see how he looks in the rain. Let's just ride on board with him and enjoy the weather. He is now making his way down that very long DRS straight here at the top of Eau Rouge. Into the corner, it looks like all the way down to 4th gear, trying to keep the car from coming out from underneath him. Off the exit of Schumacher corner, gets a little bit on the outside exit curve, making his way down into turn 8. Very careful on the brake. You don't want to have the rear locking off the exit of 8. Coming into 9, another really fast left-hand corner. If you time it right, you can almost stay on the throttle for a lot of it. And then through 10 and 11, he's got the Williams ice skating off in the background. Timmon's going to get hard on the brakes into 12 and 13. The S's section here, right before turn 14, which is where sector 2 split is going to be. Gonna make a run around 15 where you tend to be flat out, but in the wets you might have to lift, coming down this long back straight, making his way towards the line to put down his first lap of the qualifying session. He's not going to be anywhere positive. He's probably going to have to start from the last row, but let's see what he gets for a lap here. Yeah, he's really off the pace coming across the line, and he's going to have a 155.2 in qualifying, so that is going to keep him in the last row alongside Saad Niaz. 45 seconds remaining here in the qualifying session. Everybody at this point is just probably doing practice lap, making sure the car feels great in the wet weather, and then the race should be very interesting. I'm hearing some rain, but based on Cars Ben, you could say there could be some dry. So, not exactly sure what we're going to get for weather here. Tim and the Rowdy is just kind of cruising around on the circuit at the moment. Let's jump on board with some Cheesehead, invalidated time, so we're not going to follow along with him. Cars Ben, kind of right on board with him as he comes up and gets a little loose, and he's out of qualifying. That is very unfortunate for Cars Ben. Hopefully he is okay. That is such a bummer. Coming off the top of the Eau Rouge, and that's where Cars Ben just completely loses it. And everybody else is just kind of out here enjoying it. Catches tornado, puts himself in the wall, and he crashes out of qualifying too. Well, that's not going to mean anything because he had a dry lap. Following along with J Supreme, let's see what he does into turn 18. Heavy on the brakes, all the way down into second gear. Getting ready to come off the exit. Back on the throttle, getting a lot of rear tire spin. And comes across the line with a 154.5. So even then, he's still got a better lap than Texas Tornado. Meanwhile, we're following along out of put Tyreek Hill out here, and he'd be running faster than Tim Min right now. All Tim Min has to do is just retire, and then we can get on with the race here in Spa.
Despite success in Spa, Kimi Raikkonen's win here in 2009 will be the last victory that the Associate would take until Sebastian Vettel led the Protect horses to victory in 2018.
Alright, so your qualifying is as follows. Cars Ben Deathstorm makes up the front row. Row 2 is Jay Knowles, Jay Supreme. Row 3 is Texas Tornado and Fitz Dickwell. Row 4 is Great Ape and Orlando. Row 5 is Captain Tito. Alongside him is Harris Platts. Row 6, the Cheesehead Ferrari and the McLaren of Chewy. In row 7 is Timbin the Rowdy. Alongside him is Saad Niaz. So that is your qualifying order, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get ready to go green flag here at Spa. I'm hearing some rain in the forecast for the Grand Prix. So stay right here. Get ready to watch some great racing by the AM2 division. They've led some awesome battles all season. I'd say the finish of the year was going to be the Brazil. That was separated by 0.02 of a second or 1,000, something like that. It was a very close finish at Brazil. Photo finish for sure. In the lovely black green, I am seeing some dry circuit here. I don't know if there is any rain yet. We are on the strategy page, so everybody's just putting in their tires that they want to run, stops, the fuel, make adjustments in tire pressures, maybe on-off differential, fun stuff like that. But just waiting. As we wait, we will find out what we're looking at for the tire choices, and wondering how long it's going to be before the rain hits here in Spa. Are we ready to go green yet? Boop, boop, boop. And we got 5 red lights and away we go. We are making our way down into turn 1. Side-by-side action between Cars Ben and Deathstorm. It looks like Cars Ben's going to be able to get through turn 1. Nice, but Deathstorm's on the attack around the outside. And is he going to be able to take the lead? He does. He takes the lead away from Cars Ben here. Making our way up Eau Rouge. Cars Ben's all over his gearbox. Going to try and jump into the inside of him. I believe Ben is on a dry setup, but we got the rain coming down here in Spa. Following a long Deathstorm as he's heavy on the brake coming through turn, I think that's 5. Now they're making their way down Schumacher Hill towards turn 8. The really long right-hander, and we have our first official safety car, and that is going to be Harris Platts, who went around and has no front wing. That's going to bring out the safety car here. I would not be surprised if everybody went with a soft tire strategy here. Yeah, we got top 3 on softs, and Jay Knowles decided to go mediums. Texas Tornado soft, Fitz mediums. Next 3 are all soft. Captain Tito mediums, and then the final 4 are all on soft as well. Biggest mover, Timbin the Rowdy up 6 positions all the way in 7th. You got Chewy up 4. Great Ape has fallen all the way down to the back of the field. Lost 7 positions there. Orlando has lost for himself as well. Everybody's going to have telemetry at this point in the Grand Prix. We're just going to ride along here as we're making our way around some of these final corners. See how this is going to be. Nobody is pitting and the rain is coming down, and you got Jay Knowles who wants to take advantage of this, and actually a lot of the remainder side of the grid are all going to go in. Cheesehead decide to stay out as well. So this is going to be a very interesting pit call for all these folks up in the front. Is it the right move to stay out, or is it the wrong move? And I believe everybody is going to be coming out on a set of intermediates, and I am correct. Just waiting on Sod and waiting on Grade Ape. I believe they will be coming out on intermediates, and they do. So your top 5 all on softs, and then from P6 all the way to P14 are all on intermediates. So going to be an interesting series of events that will happen here. Especially being on lap 2 and already having a safety car. The rain has been coming down since the start of the Grand Prix. So we will see how this goes with all the intermediates. Yeah, Maddie, Duststorm put down a really good qualifying lap. Managed to put himself on the front row, and then the rain came and really interfered with the remainder of qualifying. Not everybody else was able to get some good lap downs. So Deathstorm, great call getting out there early in qualifying, putting himself on the front row alongside Cars Ben. Who Deathstorm is? So yeah, we just got, yeah, it's already enters. I honestly think it's intermediate tires time, and your top 5 are all on softs. So I think the strategy call here is really not going to benefit them here. I kind of want to see what's going to happen. Are any of these guys going to box under these conditions at this point, or are they all going to stay out? The safety car is not going in because Great Ape is not catching up. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him. He's still hanging out around 15-16 seconds under the safety car. So I think he's trying to go around another lap and maybe play a mind game on some of these folks up in the front. Not exactly sure. And here comes your top 5. All diving into pit lane. So staying out on the soft tires does not benefit them at all. And they're all into pit lane. I think Great Ape was just kind of playing a little bit of a mind game, knowing that the safety car was not going in. Wanted to hold it out one more lap. And now he possibly, no, he has also gone into the pits as well. So very unfortunate for Great Ape. That's another pit stop for him. So everybody off the top 5 here all come out on intermediate tires. And we should be going back under green flag this time by. Track is definitely wet. Think this is DRS will be disabled. I believe we're not going to get DRS here. I'm just kind of chilling here on Deathstorm, but let's jump up to the front, give these guys a little love for going in early, getting on those fresh tires. And it looks like Texas Tornado, I wonder if this was a team strategy call to get Texas Tornado into the pit lane first to come out and then have that advantage with track position all the way up in P2. So wonder if the Red Bulls were trying to do a swap there. I'm not exactly sure of their plan. I think Jay Supreme is really the one to keep an eye on alongside Deathstorm. I mean, Deathstorm is keeping up with Cars Ben pretty well, but keep in mind, Cars Ben also has admitted he is running a dry setup. So he's going to really struggle through some of these corners. especially in Sector 2. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Safety car is in this lap, so we are just going to be riding on board with Texas Tornado. As, wow, it looks like Jane follow along on board with Texas Tornado. And Jane Knowles has taken off, heading into turn 18. Wow, he goes a little deep on his braking zone. That's going to allow Texas Tornado to get back on the power. Is he going to get a better run than him off the outside of the corner? No, he's not. Is he going to make a move down to the inside? He's going to try and outbrake him. He actually holds off. That keeps Jay Knowles to the outside, allows Texas Tornado to sweep underneath and take over the lead of the Grand Prix here in Spa. So now Jay Knowles is going to be following him up at Eau Rouge. And they're going to be making their way down the long straight here at the top. And you got Grade 8 back into pit lane. I do not think he's very happy with his car at this point, but here comes Jay Knowles fighting back to the inside of Texas Tornado. Not going to get side-by-side action through turns 5 and 6. They're all going to follow along, but Fitz has just made a move on Chewy up into P3. So now he's putting on the charge to head towards the front. Captain Tito here fighting off Cars Ben, as Cars Ben's all over his gearbox. And they're fighting all over Harris Pletz. So you're side by side, Harris Pletz and Captain Tito. Around turn 9, is that going to allow Cars Ben to take advantage? Yes, it does. Cars Ben peeking to the inside of 11. He decides, or 10 and 11, decides to back out of that as he's coming in towards turn 12. And it looks like Texas Tornado had taken the lead and pulled a gap of 1.7 seconds up in the front. Here comes Cars Ben working his way through the field. Deathstorm and Captain Tito fighting side by side into turn 14. It looks like Deathstorm has taken that position of P9. Now they're going to make their way down the very long straight here. Cars Ben all over the gearbox of Harris Pletz as they're coming around this very long, tight left-hander. And it looks like Cars Ben has completed the pass, and Harris Pletz goes a little wide. That's going to bring in Deathstorm under the attack going into turn 18. Harris Pletz drives a little deep. Deathstorm gets right up to his rear tire. Tries to sweep back underneath, gets a little bit of a wheel spin so he can't get that traction back down going into turn 1. Got Harris Pletz still in front of him. And here comes Deathstorm. He's now going to put on the attack onto Harris Pletz, but he's actually lost a lot of time out of turn 1. Go back up to the front here as Fitz, and that brings out a safety car. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. Not seeing anything on the grid. Wonder if that was Grade 8, maybe having another little mistake at the bottom of the field. And it does indeed look like it, very much so. He has no front wing. Struggling to drive around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit here in the wet weather. Wonder if he's going to stay out or possibly park it. He's having a very rough race and don't know if he wants to stick with that. He's choosing to stay into the race, hoping to grab some points at some point here. Puts on a new set of inters, got the front wing going back on. Really struggled to find a setup for today, not knowing that Spa was going to have some wet weather, but guess what? It's always raining at Spa when it comes to real F1 weekends, so just keep that in mind. For the next time when you race here, have both that dry and wet setup. Jay Knowles gives himself a 5-second speeding penalty into pit lane. Not exactly sure what the cause of this is. He might be looking at potentially going to wet tires. Let's see. He is. He's going to jump on some wet tires. Everybody else might be going to inters. So is this going to pay off for Jay Knowles? Switching over to these wet tires here. Let's pull it up here. We got actually a couple people on some wet. So is this going to pay dividends by the end of this Grand Prix? Going in one more time, pitting onto a new set of tires. This race has just gotten that much more interesting, only 6 laps in. Looks like safety car is going to go around one more time. As we're just following along Great Ape, watching him catch up to the back of the field is probably much more interesting, but we got some action going on here in the front. Some folks are going into pit lane. Tim and the Cars Ben has gone in. Alongside him, Captain Tito has also decided to box. They're looking to go to full wet tires here at Spa. Chewy with a 5-second penalty for a collision with Saad Nayaz. Not exactly sure what happened there, but some drivers are probably not going to be too happy. Let's jump back down to Great Ape as we're following along with him to catch up towards the rear of the field here. You can tell that Great Ape is not too happy with his car tonight. Getting really loose through the corners there in 5 and 6. As he's coming around 8 now, he's going to be able to catch up to the back of the grid, so we will be going back under green flag here on lap 7. So he finally made it up to the back of the grid. Texas Tornado MP1 alongside, right behind him is Deathstorm MP2. Then you got Orlando P3, Jay Knowles in 4th, Fitz Dickwell in 5th, Saad Nayaz in 6th, Chewy in 7th, Tim in 8th, Harris Plus 9th, Cheesehead 10th, Jay Supreme 11th, Cars Ben is 12th, Captain Tito 13th, and Great Ape is 14th. BK, you have tuned into a race of, I don't know so far. I think safety cars led the most green flag, or most laps. Only on lap 7, 2 safety cars. Both of them were 3 laps long. So, but Texas Tornado and Death Storm on intermediate tires. You got a lot of cars towards the back of the field, all on wet. Let's jump and pull that up one last time here. That's your tire enters and wets at this point of the Grand Prix. Not exactly short of the crossover point, but here goes Texas Tornado. Getting ready to get us back on the green flag. Spins the tires off the exit. Now he's got Death Storm right behind him. Orlando is trying to chase him down. But they created a gap back to J Knowles in P4. As Fitztickwell is on the attack here off the exit of turn 1. Gets back on the throttle early, side by side with J Knowles. Getting ready to head up the hill of Eau Rouge. Side by side action. Are we going to have it come through clean here? Looks like no wheel banging. Everybody gets through clean. Fitztickwell has taken P4. And J Knowles is falling behind. Now Orlando side by side with Death Storm. Going down into turn 5. Death Storm's going to have to try and find some time on these intermediate tires with all the wets around him. Only lap 7, and there goes his teammate of Texas Tornado off the exit. Oh no, another safety car. Another safety car. We're on safety car number 3 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Got some pit road entries at this time, all going to wet tires. Track is definitely getting very, very wet here in Spa. So that's going to bump Death Storm all the way back down to P12. We're going to have to wait and see how this turns out. Hopefully no more safety cars for the remainder of this Grand Prix. That would be amazing, AM2. I know the track is under very treacherous, tricky conditions. But I believe we can complete a lap without a safety car. That would be awesome. We can do this. Yeah, I know, BK. You guys are terrible. Guys show up just to curse Death Storm here as he's, running up on the front. Yes, Chewy, safety car is definitely winning this Grand Prix. Please tell me we're not doing another safety car lap. Yes, ain't a little action pack has gone on so far. Not really. More safety car laps than race laps. I'm gonna invite Timon back in here. Just give me a moment, folks. Not missing out on anything. As Timon is back in the session, or invited back to the session. Following along with Saad Niaz, who has led his first lap of the Grand Prix. Jay Knowles is in P2, Chewy 3, Timon 4, Harris Platt 5, Cheesehead 6, Carsben 7, Jay Supreme 8, Captain Tito 9th, Grade 8 10th, Orlando 11th, Death Storm is 12th, Fitz is 13th, and Texas Tornado is 14th. Might take a nap, Ricky. And safety car will be in this lap. We will be getting back under green flag. Following along with Saad Niaz, he will be the one to lead us back to green. Alright, so here we go as following along with Saad Niaz making his way towards turn 18 to get underway with lap 11. That will put us officially halfway through the Grand Prix, so hopefully no more safety cars to end this. That way we can get a nice 11 laps of green flag racing. But here comes Saad off the exit of 19. It looks like he was able to get a great run on Jay Knowles there. The Chewy's on the attack right behind. They get a nice jump off of Harris Platts, along with Cheesehead putting on the attack here. Through the exit of turn 1, Cheesehead gets a little loose off the exit, but Carsben is right behind him. You barely see what's going on in front, making her way up Eau Rouge. Looks like Chewy is going to get a great run off the exit. Pushing after Jay Knowles here. Is he going to be able to make a pass going into turn 5? He goes to the inside, side-by-side action, all the way down into turn 5. And it looks like Chewy is going to maintain that position, but Jay Knowles is not going to let up, coming down into turn 7. Making our way off of Schumacher's corner down into turn 8, which is this nice tight right-hander, where you'll get a lot of rear locking, especially in the wet. And there goes Jay Knowles drifting off in the background. Harris Platts has been able to jump him, and that brings out a virtual safety car. Not exactly sure what for, but yeah. And then you got Saad Niaz has pulled a big gap up in front by himself. Think he was enjoying that moment for a little bit, but see how this goes when we get back under green flag off of the exit of 11. Captain T Deathstorm up to P9, so him and Texas Tornado has made some moves back through the grid here in the wet conditions. So let's see if they'll be able to get themselves back onto a podium, but they're going to have a fight in front of them because they have to deal with the Haas J Supreme in P6. And then they have to deal with the Ferrari teammates that Cheesehead and Cars Ben. Chewy has showed some sort of promise, but Saad Naya has pulled a huge gap on him there in P2. So when will we get back under green flag? That is what we are all waiting for here by the stewards to release the virtual safety car and give us some more green flag, and that is going to put a damper on Harris Pletz's race. He gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So we are back under green flag here. Cheesehead and Cars Ben all over Harris Pletz's gearbox. Off the exit of turn 1, Cars Ben is going to be able to get a better run in regards to grip. He's now got to find a way to get by Harris Pletz, but he's going to stay in line as we're heading up the hill. Making our way down this very long DRS straight, but no DRS. Following along in his slipstream is his teammate of Cars Ben. Here Cars Ben goes down to the inside of Cheesehead. And he's going to complete the pass before turn 5, so his next attack is going to be on Harris Pletz. Captain Tito and Orlando side by side through 5 and 6. Coming into turn 7, here comes Deathstorm peeking himself into the picture. Is he going to be able to get a 2-for-1 move here? Off to the exit of 7 into turn 8. He's trying to send it around the outside, but he's not going to be able to make the move. Texas Tornado is also getting by Captain Tito. Following along here with Deathstorm as he's trying to pick his way through the grid. He's got Orlando right in front of him now on 10 and 11. Heading towards turn 12 and 13, which is going to bring off the exit of 14. And here comes Deathstorm. He's putting on the attack. Really high pressure on Orlando. Less than 0.3 of a second. So he's in his gearbox at this point. He can get a good smell of that exhaust. He's now got a good run off of 15. Making our run down this main straight, or this very long straight towards turn 18. Still within 0.2. If he gets a good run through here, he might be able to make a move down into turn 18. Not exactly sure if he's going to be close enough. No, he is not. So he's going to follow in long. But you got some action here as some of these guys have all gone into the pit, such as Harris Pletz and Chewy have also bought. So that put Cars Ben and Cheesehead on the podium. They got to worry about J Supreme right behind him, who brought Orlando. And Orlando has brought some hungry Red Bulls at this point between Deathstorm and Texas Tornado off the exit of turn 1. A mini train for half a grid here going up Eau Rouge. Making our way past through Verdillion, heading down this main straight. And Orlando has looked to make a move on J Supreme, but now he's got the Ferrari, and J Supreme's going to fight right back on the inside. Side-by-side action through 5. Coming into 6. Let's get back on this. Oh no! And Deathstorm. Looked like Deathstorm and J Supreme just collected each other and went off the circuit into the wall just before the entrance of turn 7. So there was some action going on there. That brings out a safety car 2 laps in. Hopefully I'm not putting you guys to sleep with my commentating. I know I'm pretty boring tonight. Not a lot of action has been going on. But, yeah. So an unfortunate circumstance for Deathstorm. A collision between him and J Supreme has put Deathstorm without a front wing all the way down into P8. So he was just working his way through the grid. Grade A gets a virtual safety car, or a safety car drive-through penalty Not following the speed limit. But here comes Deathstorm just making his way down into turn 18. He's pretty angry about that incident as he was working his way through the grid. Got himself back up into a good position. But now you're seeing some of these guys are all going to be pitting. Orlando's going to stay out. So that might actually help him out here because I believe he is on some fresher tires in the remainder of the grid. No, he's not. He's staying out on wets. Everybody else going into intermediate tires here. Mediums for Fitzdick. That's a little confusing there. Not exactly sure why you would want to go to medium tires. Deathstorm on intermediates as well. Yeah, Mr. Fitzy, I don't think that's the right call, especially in this weather. It is coming down. I'm not exactly sure what the Alpine team strategist was thinking, but this weather is not going to be helpful for him. Great Ape has decided to retire from the Grand Prix in pit lane, so he is not too happy with the full wet conditions here at Spa. Just waiting on the back of the field to catch up. It looks like they should be caught up here by the end of Sector 2, and hopefully we will get back under green flag conditions. This has been a very saddening race for everybody. A lot of safety car laps. We're about, I want to say 12 laps under safety car out of 14 actual racing laps. So yeah, softs weren't going to do you very good, Great Ape. Especially staying on them when it started raining. And it looks like we're going to get another lap under the safety car. No. I feel that, Chewy. I'm kind of bored up here myself. And we got... Oh. What is going on here? A lot of movement going on again in pit lane. And I believe Dickwell not helping himself with a 5-second speeding penalty here. We're going to intermediates for Harris. What is Tetsis doing? I think Tetsis is on intermediates as well. Yes, he is. Coming around off the outside of pit lane. Position changes have been very drastic in this race. What's up, BK? You need to get your Red Bull team under control here, man. Damn, sandwich. 9 hours of sleep. Yeah, there's been I want to say about 11 laps under, 11, 12 laps under safety car so far. Yeah, you're not wrong, BK. Safety car is going to be in this time by, as we're going to start lap 16 of 22. Can we get the final 6 laps of green flag racing? We will find out. The rain has kind of let off here. You can see some people out here on the intermediate tires. A little bit of a dry line has kind of formed, so it's going to make things kind of interesting, especially if DRS is activated within reach of the end of the Grand Prix. Saad Niaz is going to lead us towards turn 18. We're going to follow along on board with him, or let's follow along on board with Cars Ben, see if he gets a good jump. Not dry enough, Formula. And Saad has officially taken off, making a run down into turn 18. Coming around 19, it looks like Cars Ben might have had a better line, but he was not close enough to capitalize off the exit of turn 19. Making a run down towards turn 1. Not a lot of action going on behind the field. Orlando and Timmin the Rowdy, we got a little bit of three wide action. Texas Tornado dives to the inside of Timmin. Off the exit of 1. Now he's going to put on the attack onto Orlando here as we're making our way up Eau Rouge. Here comes Harris Plus, made away around Timmin the Rowdy as well. Jump back up to the front. Cars Benz all over the gearbox with Saad Niaz. Jump to the outside, making a run down into turn 5. Side-by-side action through 5 and 6. Cars Ben on the outside going into 7. Saad in the inside. Saad's not going to let off, but here he goes. Cars Benz completed the move through turn 5, 6, and 7. Now that allows Cheesehead and Captain Tito to kind of catch up to the gearbox of them. But guess who's following along? You got Death Storm right back in the picture after having that incident. He's going to be chasing down Captain Tito, heading into turn 10 and 11. Making our way to round 11 now. The double left-hander, double apex. And we're going down. 3-second time penalty. Here comes Death Storm off of 13, making his way into 14, following nice and close alongside Captain Tito. Cheesehead with the 3-second time penalty, so that's going to hinder the end of his Grand Prix. Death Storm sets the purple sector too. So I'm not exactly sure if anybody set a faster lap than he has at this point through 2 sector splits. But now he's working his way around, I think that's turn 17. He's going to jump to the outside. Is he going to be able to outbrake going into 18? He looks like he's going to outbrake Captain Tito going into 18. Now taking the lead off the exit of 19. What a great move by Death Storm, working his way back up the field. He's got 1 second to catch Cheesehead. You're going to get any action up from the front as Saad Niaz is working on chasing down Cars Ben. But the dry weather is going to kind of helping him out. Captain Tito is all over the gearbox to Death Storm again, but Orlando has gotten passed by Texas Tornado. Texas Tornado's got a second to make up if he wants to catch up to the gearbox of Chewy. We're going to jump back up in the front here as Cheese has 3-second time penalty, sitting at 1.92 ahead of Death Storm at this moment. Death Storm's trying to find some time. He's found 3/10 through 5, 6, and 7. Making a run down through turn 8. This is where Death Storm has been extremely strong at this point in the green flag run. Coming through sector 2, he's got that higher downforce. He has found 7/10 on Cheesehead in front of him through 5 corners there as we're coming around 10 and 11. No movement coming on between Cheesehead, Saad Niaz, and Cars Ben as they're all just following each other in a single file, but we got some close action going on back here. Texas Tornado is caught right up to the gearbox of Orlando. Actually, no, Orlando got back by Texas Tornado. Now Texas Tornado is looking to make a move on him again, and they caught up to Chewy. So now they got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 all in a single file here. Harris Plus with a 3-second time penalty. Texas Tornado is not leaving any space here behind Orlando as he's going to follow him through turns 17, 16, and 17. Making our way towards turn 18, which is the final two corners, the nice tight chicane before the main straight. You see the McLaren teammates side by side. Texas Tornado is going to open it up, looking to go underneath, but the other teammate of Orlando was able to block that off. Close the door on him, making our run down into turn 1. Tornado is going to peek to the inside, dive back to the outside. Is he going to get a better run off of turn 1? It looks like he has a side-by-side action along with Orlando, making a run up towards Eau Rouge. And Texas Tornado jumped up another position. Cheesehead's all over the gearbox. Assad Niaz making a run down into turn 5 and 6. Get ready to hit that Schumacher corner, but Orlando has fought back on Texas, and look who he's pulled with him, Harris Pletz as well. All diving into turn 5. Texas Tornado gets underneath Harris Pletz because it looked like Harris got a little loose going into turn 5. That's going to allow Fitz Dickwell to capitalize through the inside of 7 as we're making a run down into turn 8. Fitz is not going to... Oh, he's able to get a great run through 8. Now is he going to be able to overtake him? He does overtake Harris Pletz off of the exit of 8. Moving back up through here. Deathstorm's 1.5 seconds off the gearbox of Cheesehead here, coming through Sector 2. But he's got Captain Tito all over him. And they're still trying to chase down Cheesehead up in front. 1.5 seconds separation between P3 and P4. So at this point, with Cheesehead's 3-second time penalty, that's going to allow Deathstorm to go up. Texas Tornado is looking to make a move all the way up to P8. Yeah. Fitz Dickwell is all over the gearbox of Texas Tornado at this point. Coming around 16 and 17, but let's jump back up to the front here. Deathstorm still losing time up to Cheesehead in front of him. He's able to get a little bit back coming off the exit of 19. Cheesehead sets the fastest lap, so he is now officially on the charge. We got 2 trains of cars here coming around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Following along, Fitzy's trying to peek. Texas Tornado's also trying to peek on Chewy. Chewy's 1 second off of J. Knowles right in front of him in P6. Deathstorm needs to find some time. He's down to 2.4 seconds as he's losing all that time on the straight here at the top of the hill. Fitz Dickwell is trying to do something. He's got a 3-second time penalty there. That's going to hinder the end of his race. Texas Tornado wants to push hard on to Chewy as we're making our way into 5 and 6. Not close enough to make a run. Following along with Deathstorm, as this is where he usually makes up all of his time on these guys in front of him. But he's struggling to keep up with them on the straight. Seems like they have a high top speed here for those cars, but Deathstorm is managing to keep himself in P4, trying to fight on for a podium. He's got to stay within 3 seconds of Cheesehead, and if he can do just that, he's going to put himself on a podium finish. Down to 1.9 seconds, so he's working extremely hard to stay within 3 seconds to get his first podium on the season. Coming around turn 14, gets a little loose off of 14, purple sector 2. Trying to find this time as he's making his way down the main straight. He's got to be burning some ERS at this point. He is. He's actually pretty low as well. Down to 1.9 seconds. We got a lot of action going on back here. Texas Tornado just got passed by Fitz Dickwell and Orlando as well in the back. J. Knowles and Chewy had kind of checked out from this rear group, or this rear train. Deathstorm still 2.2 seconds off the back here of these guys in front of him. He's got 3 more laps to go if he wants to end up on the podium. He's got to keep pushing. Because at this moment, he's got Captain Tito all over his gearbox. And then J. Knowles following 5 seconds behind him with Chewy all over him. Chewy sets the purple sector 3 on the last lap. So here comes Harris Pletz and Fitz Dickwell side by side off the exit of 1. Going in towards turn 2. And Texas Tornado has boxed, I'm assuming, for some sort of damage. Captain Tito on the attack on Deathstorm. Not close enough to be able to dive to the inside of him. Deathstorm's lost a lot of time on the main straight there. Here he comes through turn 7, making his way down the hill in towards turn 8. Again, this is where Deathstorm seems to pick up a lot of time on these guys coming through sector 2, but he's not gaining as much as he has been. Here he comes, flying down towards turn 10 and 11. He's got Captain Tito behind him. 4/10 off. Deathstorm needs to find some more time here. Cheesehead is losing that slipstream from Sodnias in front, so if that helps, that might allow Deathstorm to kind of pull himself within grasp one more time to hopefully take over the final podium position. We got Orlando down in 10th, 3/10 off the back of Harris Pletz, trying to find some time there as well, see if he can get up into P9. Harris Pletz is defending for his life. Harris Pletz with a 3-second time penalty, that's going to hinder him even more. But here comes Orlando, and you got Fitztickwell, gets a little loose off the exit of 15. Is that going to bring out a safety car? Does not look like it. That was extremely close. Deathstorm down to 2.9 seconds. He needs to find the time now. He's at 2.7. Deathstorm's got 2 more laps. He needs to find the time if he wants to end up on the podium position. Got Captain Tito still fighting hard with him. Tetris Tornado down in P10. Deathstorm does not want to give up, but this is where he's losing all of his time at the top of Eau Rouge here. I honestly think I know exactly why. If he downshifts into 7th and give him higher RPMs as he makes it up the hill, because he's losing all of his time here on this backstretch heading in towards turn 5 and 6. Captain Tito was peeking on him, but not close enough to be able to gain that position from him. Wondering if DRS is going to enable this lap. It seems the track has dried off quite a bit. The Deathstorm now needs to find a lot of time here in this last sector. If he wants to, last 2 sectors, if he wants to be able to get back into a podium position here. Gonna have to find this time and try and maintain it within that 3-second. DRS has been enabled. So now Deathstorm needs to find a way to keep Captain Tito off of him at the same time, because that's going to leave him vulnerable. He's starting to pull away from Captain Tito, almost opened up a 1-second gap. But Deathstorm is still 3.0 seconds off, or 3 seconds off the back of Cheesehead here. Down to 2.8, making our way through 14. Cheesehead's down to 1.1 off of the people in front of him, of Sodnias and Carsben. Not a lot of action going on back through the back of the field, so we're just going to stick alongside with these guys here up in the front. Battling for position. Sodnias is going to get DRS on Carsben, so how vulnerable is this going to leave both of these drivers? Carsben's got quite a bit of battery to be able to defend against Sodnias, as Cheesehead coming in behind him nice and hot. So that's fast slap with a 154.3. Deathstorm down to 3.7 seconds off the P3. So at this time, he's going to be losing that position. Finds 3/10 off the exit of turn 1. Here comes Sodnias, putting on the attack. Up the hill. Going to open up this DRS flap. Is he going to be able to have any run down into turn 5? Carsben goes to the left-hand side of the track. Here comes Sod, looking to the inside, not close enough. Going to fall right back behind Tetris Tornado, sets the fastest lap with a 151.8. Captain Tito overdrove the corner. That allows Deathstorm to get back into P4. But he's not going to be close enough unless Cheesehead gets another penalty. But Sodnias is putting on the attack onto Carsben at this moment. Sodnias with a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to interfere with his final results over Carsben. Very unfortunate, as we were having a 2-car battle down to the line. Deathstorm still holding off of Captain Tito behind him. Sodnias is trying to make a charge through 14 and 15. Here we go, making our way down the main straight here for the final time. Heading our run through 16 into 17, which brings you to 18 and 19. Deathstorm had a great run to contend for a podium position, but it looks like he might miss out on this, as Sodnias and Carsben are battling. Captain Tito all over the gearbox of Deathstorm, still coming through the final corner. Carsben takes the win with Sod in P2, Cheesehead in P3. Deathstorm is going to take P4, Captain Tito P5. Chewy is going to come across the line in P6. Jay Knowles got Orlando all over his gearbox. Harris Plutz is also going to cross the line as well. Now just following along with Texas Tornado here as he's coming through the final corner. So here's your final finishers. Cars Ben P1, Sod P2, Cheesehead P3, Deathstorm P4, Captain Tito 5th, Chewy 6th, J Knowles 7th, Orlando 8th, Harris Plus 9th, Texas Tornado 10th, Timmin 11th, Fitzdickwell 12th, Grade 8 13th, and Jay Supreme 14th. That's your race, folks. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Discord. Let's see if I can invite some people in here. Well, folks, I don't know what's going on with the commentator chat. I can't get into the booth on my side for some odd reason. So I'll have to figure out what's going on. Discord came out with an update today, and my whole screen looks funky. So in the meantime, this is the Johnny Damon at Contest of Speed AM2 Round 16 Season Finale at Spa. I want to thank you all for a great season. I appreciate you all tuning in to watch AM2. In the meantime, you will see the EU2 division and AM1 division tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for EU2, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for AM1. And then on Thursday, EU1 will take on Spa at 4 p.m. Oh, sweet. Everybody join. Hell yeah. I couldn't figure out what was going on with Discord. It was being weird. Like, I can't get into the commentators chat. Anyways, let's jump. Showroom here. Oops. We don't want 22 cars. So, who was P3? Was that Cheesehead? Okay. I'll start with you, Cheesehead. So, I mean, what a long race that was. A lot of safety cars. But the last 6 laps that you get to do some racing, how did the car feel? And, I mean, it looked like Ben and Sod might have had a little bit more speed than you tonight. I saw you were trying to keep up. How nervous were you that Deathstorm was going to take your P3 away from you? Absolutely. So, of course, the Ferrari team must be happy. Not very many Ferrari strategies from you guys this year, so that's a positive. Are you? Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the P3 and the Constructors Championship. Go celebrate. All right, Sod and I has in P2 for the Williams. Am I correct? I think so. All right. So, Sod, how was your race and, coming back to end the season with a bang? I mean, it looked like you were having a great beginning of the season, kind of fell off a little bit in the middle of the season, and now you just come back, put yourself on the podium. How do you feel about that? Well, I mean, putting yourself on the podium in AM2 from reserving up from AM3, that's a great result for you. I'm sure Williams is excited to have you moving up the ranks at some point, hopefully soon for them. In the meantime, enjoy your second place, and hopefully next season will be a little bit better for you. So we move on to your AM2, your AM2 Drivers Championship. Your champion, Cars Ben. Did you get the win tonight here at Spa? Was that more of like a stamp to put on that championship and just say, it is mine, nobody was taking it this year? Absolutely. So is that rumors that you might be moving up to AM1? Well, at least you got yourself on the top step of the podium. not only holding the trophy from Spa, but also the championship trophy. Congratulations on your victory tonight and your entire season as a whole. Hopefully we can split you and Cheesehead up so we can see you guys actually go at it neck to neck. But in the meantime, congratulations to the both of you on your constructors. And Contest of Speed AM2 Round 16 season finale at Spa was a one for the record books that people don't want to remember. In the meantime, too many safety cars. In the meantime, we will see you the next time. I'm not exactly sure if I will still be commentating AM2 or with a potential schedule change, what's going on there. But I look forward to seeing you guys on the circuit for your new season. And stay safe and enjoy your holidays, because I don't think the season will be starting before then.